Hello guys and welcome back. This is Pete Dahlgren and we're building the Mears Models F86. Now somewhere in the shuffle we got lost on what we were talking about and somehow somebody says, Pete, I don't understand these wings at all. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're even doing. So basically guys, I am going to run you guys through the entire, because I have not done this wing. I was not going to do this part. I was just going to show you it done. But in order to get that result and get a good straight wing and everything else done and get all these hatches and everything done, so we're looking at this kind of stuff because we're running out of real estate in here real quick, guys. Now, in order to get all this stuff and everything set up in there, there's a lot of business going in there. And in order to get all this stuff to actually work, and get all these to work nice and free like this and that, there's a lot that we got to cover. So basically what I'm going to do is we're going to start and we're actually going to do this build on this wing so I can show you exactly what I did on here. A lot of guys are not understanding exactly what it entails to do these things on this, and there's a lot to do. And I did modify the blocks and everything, and this is basically the only thing that's in this wing right now is actually, in fact, the only thing that's really in there is actually, in fact, nothing except for the tank mounts, and I covered that. Now what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to walk you guys through exactly what I'm doing, because it can be a little complex and it can be there. And if you guys are at this point, you guys know we got a lot of cutting and stuff to do. Now, I highly recommend that you buy these, and they go in like this, okay? They do not require any countersinking or any other bracing other than what they are. But these can be kind of a fitting nightmare when you go to look how they're going to go. And the only way that you can get these to look right on here is to go and actually have your servos. You have to have them, and make sure that you have the arms that you're going to use. I have all aluminum arms on mine. I've been using them for years and I love them. So anyway, don't just glue these on and hope for the best. We got some things to fit in here. And we also are going to use some of our scrap. Now I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do that in there. But before we get too crazy, I want you guys to look in here. These are where your servos are actually, in fact, going to live. And it's very important that you look at the relation where they are actually going to be. Now you want your, basically what you want on this is you want the shortest arms you can get, of course, but you're going to want this wing, the out one, to point in, and you're going to want that one to point that way. So they're going to face each other. So in relation to where they go, you want them about, they're going to sit in approximately like this on that one. And this one's going to face this one by sitting in this way, but it's actually going to be sitting like that. And you want to double check the facing of that. You make sure that they're both facing up in front, because if you don't, you're going to have a tiny little thing in there that you're not going to be able to do. And it's not that long of an arm. They're only 1 inch long on the inside one, and the other one's only 1 1/4 inch. So basically, you're going to notice here that we've got a lot of, that we just barely have trimmed this off. And we got some work to do and some rework to do. I'm going to explain a couple things in here. Is that the flap is actually going to have another piece. It's a block that I cut into this one. I still got a little work to do here. And it does not There is not going to be a piece in there. It's just not durable enough. But you're going to want to build it onto that so you can cut it off to make it fit. Now we are going to be putting in G10 hinges in this, and you're going to need some materials. So let me get you lined up on all this, because you're going to have to rip you down and make you whatever pocket size you want. You're going to need a Dremel, guys. You got to have it. You're going to need a hacksaw, and you're going to need a Dremel, because we're going to be building a lot of things. I'm going to show you how I'm actually building the mounts, and it's just this is all kind of a deal where we're going to have to come in and look. Now, this is a piece that's going to have to sit like that. It doesn't matter, we're painting this stuff, but you're going to want these pieces to sit in so they're actually like this. But before we do all this, bringing everybody's attention now is that there is some blocking that you're going to have to put in these areas in order, you know, to be able to drive your screws. Now, I'm not going to be putting T-nuts in this. I'm just going to run servo screws that are very long, very nice servo screws that will go in. So we will test fit all these things. And the number one thing we have to have are your servos. Whatever servos you're going to use, I'm using 625 MWs. These are very high, 139 ounce torque. They're very nice servos. And they're very fast. So that's just what I do. Anything on that is overkill, I think. You can go 200 ounce, you can go even bigger than that if you want to. You can use others, but if you're using the method I'm doing, you're just overkill. And I don't think this is not a fast airplane, so it's not going to be doing 200 miles an hour. It might do 120 or whatever, I don't know, but you know, it's not going to be a super fast airplane. It's very slow. So it's going to be equivalent to kind of be flying a trainer, from what everybody's kind of been talking about in this and that. We do have some fitment, and we do have some other things that need to be done in the ailerons and the flaps, and so we're going to cover every bit of this. And these trussings and things that I'm making now, you'll see, they work extremely well, very precise, and they work extremely well. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to sit you guys up here for the next 20 minutes or so, and I'm going to explain how this kind of works. If you can, okay, we'll see if that works. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure something here, and okay, look, tripod. I don't know if this is gonna work or not, guys. It looks kind of like it. But anyway, I'll look at this here in a second. Okay, anyway, hopefully you can see this. First thing we want to do is we need to get out all of our servos that we're going to be using. And you're going to want to make sure that you're using the arms you're going to use, okay? So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you this just because, but what we want to do here is going now. What we want to do is we want to get this in an area to where we can actually work with it. Okay? This needs to be set about approximately there, but here's the deal. It's absolutely important that you got this figured out, because you're going to find out you should have a series of blocks. Now, I either lost some during time and all that and had to come back and make a few. But you should have a short block, and they're actually the ones that are a little bit longer. And in order to get a proper spacing, they sit like this. And then another one sits like that. And then you're going to want to set this up so that these are straight and true. Once you've done that, then you can place, make sure your wires are gonna be out of your way so that you're not getting screwed up. These are brand new servos and we already know they work. Now what I like to do is just push them through under here. Okay? That doesn't matter yet, and we'll talk about the routing of the wires here very shortly. Now what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm actually just setting this up so that this is in a straight line. It's absolutely important that it is, and the only way that you can clean your parts very well, guys, make sure that they're good and no interference. That line looks really good to me, but you want to make sure it's absolutely perfectly flush. Okay? Now, you're going to need a few tools. The one you're absolutely going to need is your pencil. I will come up here and mark this. Okay? I will mark it here, and I'll mark it right there. We're not gluing anything down at this point. The only thing that we are doing at this point is making sure that I know that that servo line is right here and right there. Now we'll remove all this, and then I will just take and make a straight line right there. And double check that. That is my line that my servo will sit on, like so. And with one of these in, I know that that is going to sit right there. And then I will take another part, and I will set that in right here. And this is all test fitting, by the way. We don't want to glue anything down at this point at all. Okay? Sometimes they'll stay, sometimes they won't. But I can actually adjust that here in just a second, because what happens is I can test that and you can see that looks good. Now, as I said, you're going to need the servo arms that you are going to use. They're going to be a little bit different. And it's actually okay for a lot of that. And it's just up to whatever you're going to do and whatever you're building and whatever you're going to afford at this point. Okay. Now a lot of these I'm using, these are Go Nitro hobby thing, and these are usually the arms they will actually send you with a lot of this stuff when you do it. And basically what we want to do is just make sure, you know, when you have these bigger arms that you're going to see they're considerably different. So to double check that fitting, that line will always be pretty much, it'll pretty much stay the same. But also what I want to be doing now is I want to center this. Now I'm going to do this again because I'll be removing these servos again as soon as we get ready to glass and paint, but I'm not going to do them both until they're both actually done. it does help to have a servo programmer available for setting these up, but and centering the servo, it saves a lot of time, and it does actually do that. And okay, now with the new servo arm on here, what we want to do is set it back in here again. Other guys just go ahead and do it now. But you know what? I'm actually very particular about this because I want to make sure that what we got here is actually going to work and work well. Now, these are a pinch fit in here, so I want you guys to remember that what you put in here absolutely counts. And what I want to do here now is, these are a little bit wider, but what you want to do is make sure that you're centered. But what you want to also make sure that you do know is that that line has not moved. And it looks good. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is actually setting this up, and then just, this is exactly where I want this, and as you can see, they are a pinch fit. Once it's bolted down, that's it. But what you want to do, this can portray it to be a real pain in the ass. Now what I will do here, guys, I will take a little bit of yellow glue. You can epoxy this if you want to. I don't do it that way. And again, I use syringes on there because it's a lot better. It's just a much more precise way of doing this to me. And then this one, making sure that that's stuck in there like that, all I'll do is take a clamp to it. Just clamp, well, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes they just cop an attitude. And you want to make sure it's sitting on that line exactly. And you want to pull it back, double check it. Then you come back and actually glue the other side. I get a lot of glue on it, just like that. And then I will just set it in place. And then I will go and I will find the next one and do the other one exactly the opposite on the other side, like this. And I will just slide it in simply like that. And I'll push it to fit in there so that it's actually there. Like this. And that's some of it. Didn't even fuck it up. How about that? It's just important that you see that these do have a fit. And again, there'll be 4 of these. And we'll let that set. And when we come back, then we can actually come back and finish the fit up on this. Now the one thing I want to bring up to you guys' attention is, you'll notice there's no plate on the back of this. What I will do now is I will go and get all my scrap that I've got, and I'll go in the obvious areas and get it, and I will just drill 4 holes in there, and I'll mount those in. We'll talk about this on the next one. We're going to do exactly the same thing over here on this one. And you just want to make sure that all of your parts are staying pretty well set. And don't trim your servos. Guys have been asking me about trimming here. Let me show you. This is another thing somebody asked me about. And I just don't cut on your servo cases, guys. It's not worth it. And these little tabs that are inside here, if you look in here, there's a little tab. That's a brace. Don't cut it off. Leave it there. Leave it there. Now, while we're doing this, guys, I've got another little piece in here. There are 2 more little pieces that go in here before we forget. They don't even have to be, and again, they don't have to be plywood. Now, another thing that I do, you don't have to do this. I kind of recommend it a little bit just because if you get something that binds up, you don't want it breaking your stuff up. But I'm a big firm believer in this stuff here. And it's 1/4 inch by 3/8, doesn't weigh enough to worry about. And all I'll do is I scrub the saw. Need a new saw. Little miter boxes are nice, but I never use them hardly anyway. Now another thing you can do here too, I'm going to give you this option to play along with, and then I just take a little bit of yellow glue and I will put a tab down on there like so, and I just take another one and then I will actually just you can actually take this stuff and you can, if you got one that's acting kind of weird on you, you can just take and sandwich a little piece in there like that. And it actually makes it pretty nice in that way, because it just pulls right out. And it does make it kind of nice in the front to throw a couple pieces in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Again, it's not a big, huge problem. A little bit of glue. And I like using these syringes, guys. I had a lot of guys asking me about this, and yes, I like acting like a doctor, I guess. But especially on that outside one, it can be a little bit of a deal. And I always have a little bit of squeeze out. I don't care. A little bit of glue weight ain't gonna hurt anything. And as long as that pulls out like this, guys, you're in like Flynn. And this little piece down here is actually going to keep it from being able to lock. You don't want to put really anything in here, because if you do, it's just going to be a problem. Anyway, just get them positioned where they're going to be. Quick tag out. Make sure it slides in fairly easy but not sloppy. That ain't gonna work in there for that, so we don't really need the clamps. We just need to make sure that this just is a straight shot. You did not lose your line. You can epoxy them if you want to. I just don't see the need to do it that much. So anyway. And then that should actually, another way you can clamp these down to make sure they don't move is actually put this over it, making sure that this is absolutely straight. Your lines should match up pretty much right where they need to be. And bam, that's pretty much it. Now, when you take this off, you're going to notice very carefully that these will stay in place with the, they will pinch right here. And if you do this with this in here and you get a clamp on that, these won't move around on you nearly as much, but then you can continue working on other things. And the main thing is getting it to where it's set. And it's not really a big, huge problem. But the trick is to build it in place and make sure that your parts are still going to be able to come out. Don't glue this lid down yet, fellas, because we got to tree all this area up and get rid of all the gluing damage we did. And we built the damn thing, and that it should really actually be there. And this needs to be you need to make sure that this is absolutely nuts on the money flush here. This one is going to be beautiful. So anyway, what we're going to do here now, guys, is that there's a couple other little things we need to do, and we'll do those after this sets up. And the main thing is making the screw accesses. And I'm just using scrap plywood on this and gonna stick them in here. This one, however, has a little bit of an issue. And you're gonna wanna come out here to put in something for that to screw to, but we gotta sit and figure this one out a little bit more because it is a cantankerous little jerk. Either way, it has to be completely and totally absolutely flush in there. Now, I have not cut these off, and I'm going to do that on the next step after I get these basically set up. Because what I'm going to do here, guys, is once we get into this next part in here, what will happen is we've got a lot of gluing and a lot of things to build. Now, if this does not fit the way you're looking here, you can turn it around, but that's not that's not really the way I like to do this. Now, the main thing is the spacers will give you a correct spacing for everything else if you do them in a certain deal. And I'm not trying to be quiet, guys. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing here so I can go ahead and preliminary get these things ready to go. Now, once we have servos and things like this, we're just going to go and double check everything, make sure everything is fitting beautifully and looks good. this one's not an issue. This one can be a little bit of a cantankerous little prick. So anyway, we're going to go through it. I'm going to teach you guys some ways to do this. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be gluing in some tabs into this. And I'm going to show you the best way I know of to do this. But we're not going to do this with just, this is why we're not going to be using T-nuts on this. And it doesn't affect it. You got plenty of everything you need. So anyway, just a quick rehash of this, and hopefully you guys saw this. And if not, then I'll stop and redo it. But anyway, I'm going to cut this off. We're going to start talking about the cutting and truing up of everything that we got going on here. And the wings really are not all that big of a deal. But I'm going to show you guys just how nice they really are. And these boxes really are about this tough. So anyway, you just want to make sure you're allowing certain things to dry because they are a pinch bit. Once you put the screws in there, they're not moving, not going anywhere. So anyway, enough for now. We'll see you guys in the funny papers, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start talking about the cutting and truing up of this wing. And we're also going to come up there and start talking about the little bit of sheeting we're going to do and fixing this screw up. And this is a big booger on my behalf, and it's not a big deal. And I'm going to show you exactly why. Because it turns out beautiful. So anyway, see you guys in the funny papers.